Well, good morning. It is Tuesday and started pretty early. I went for a 6 a.m. run with my running partner, and running today was just easier. I always forget how cross-training really helps inform the other sport you do. So between bar method and riding a couple times, the physical act of running today was easier. I just felt lighter, or each kick or push with my foot just felt easier. It was a more conversational run today, given everything that happened yesterday. It was nice to be able to just run and talk. I do sometimes feel bad, like I'm chatting her ear off as we run, but I hope on some level it just distracts from the task at hand. And then after my run, I went past the one apartment I really like that I want to move to that's not quite open yet. They raised every single price by $300. So all of a sudden, this place I was pretty hopeful to be able to live in is just well beyond what I'm able to do. But I keep playing over things that she said to me yesterday, both in mediation, but more specifically afterwards. And yeah, some of it's pretty painful. She at one point told me that she feels like she married a con artist. Me, that I was just trying to squeeze all the money out of her. And that's incredibly painful. God, I'm so grateful I have my therapist, because we've talked about stuff like this before. I'm a really trustworthy person. You can trust me. I'm good to my word. It's I think one of my better qualities. And to have the person that knows me best doubt that trust, like on a fundamental level, is really undermining and really hurts. So to have her amp it up a level yesterday and say, it feels like, she didn't say I'm a con artist, but it feels like she married a con artist. It just intensifies that feeling of, ow, like you're saying things really inconsistent with who I know myself to be, and it's hard. I don't know. I need to stop playing that all over in my head. In retrospect, I guess maybe it was a mistake to go back and talk to her yesterday, but I feel like I did get some insight. I don't know. I need to think over, particularly the initial parts of the conversation. Why did she want to talk to me? Yeah, maybe if I can sort of parse that out, it'll make more sense. I hope your Tuesday is going well. I'll see you soon. I need to do the things that make me feel normal again, because I'm feeling kind of shaken and not normal. Yeah, that long conversation I had with her yesterday, it's kind of soaking in and percolating, and I'm trying to make sense of what it was and why. And I'm trying to figure out why she wanted to talk to me afterwards. The conversation started out with her just telling me basically that she's angry at me. That the fact, that she wants to open up and she wants to be close to me, but the fact that I got in touch with his ex, anytime she thinks about that, she just shuts down. She puts all her walls and defenses up. Why did she want to tell me that? Why does it matter? We had just come from a 3-hour meeting talking about the particulars of getting divorced, and she wanted to talk, and the first thing she talked about was that. So if we approach it from a cynical mindset, which is I guess what I need to do with her, at the mediation they came up with a proposed deal for me involving stuff with the condo and involving a very, very minor payout. Like very minor, basically just to make me go away. And I didn't jump on it. I wasn't like, yeah. So is that why she wanted to talk to me? Did she want to try and keep me soft so that I'd go for the deal? We'd been in mediation. She'd been cold and frosty to me the whole time. That's just fact. 3 hours later, we leave mediation. We walked out the front door. I made a left. I went out the side door, and very quickly I went down the steps and I left. I didn't want to see her. I was done. I was kind of thrown by some of the particulars of what's going on, things I didn't know. And I don't know, maybe let's talk about that for a second, because that's something I've wrestled with in this case. I'm super fortunate because I have a lot of people who care about me and who give me advice. And it's just that, it's advice. Like, it's not people saying, you have to do this. People have stronger and less strong opinions about what I should be doing, but it's one of those things where you should listen to everyone and make your own decision. And I try to do that, but when you feel kind of as battered and bruised as I do, you do rely a little bit more heavily on people, just because it takes some of the burden off you. People who know more, who know your situation, who care about you, are saying like, look, I think this really makes sense. Months ago, when I was looking at places to live and I was trying to move on, people told me, do not move out. You stay put until the condo sells. Things are status quo. Things will be the same. That was sound advice. But what has happened is people didn't know everything. So here's what's happened, at least in California. and this is really weird. I'm really thrown by this. My wife and I, and also when we were a girlfriend and boyfriend, we had an arrangement. When we first moved here, I was only teaching 60%. My first year, I wasn't teaching full time because the job wasn't like that. Because she was in law school and had savings, like she paid for the rent in our first apartment. And we split groceries, we split everything else. I paid for cable and electric and a bunch of stuff. And that worked. And then, when we had the opportunity to buy our condo, my dad had died. So money came in from him that gave us the opportunity to come up with a down payment. Aside from that, I didn't have savings. This is an expensive city to live in, and on a teacher's salary, I don't make a lot of cash. So it's been hard. You feel like I'm an adult, and it's like, it's really hard to be an adult. What worked for us, the arrangement that we sorted out was I paid the down payment, and she was paying the mortgage, and then I'd still pay utilities and stuff like that. Definitely not a balance. We continued our arrangement. We'd agreed upon it, and it seemed to be working. But there was always the understanding of, if this isn't working, we can talk about it. She and I were no strangers to conversation. We talked all the time. So there's no like presupposition that, we were locked in and we couldn't talk about it. No, we absolutely could have talked about it. That was the arrangement for 6.5 years. What I came to learn more clearly yesterday is, regardless of arrangement, the day she moved out, like our date of separation, at that point in March, I became legally responsible for half of the mortgage on the condo. Regardless of the fact that this breakup was a total surprise and blindsided and she cheated and all of that. Regardless, the day she moved out, all of a sudden, I, who had not been trying to budget for a couple $1,000s a month for mortgage, was automatically like a counter started going. Like I owed money every month, to the community, like to her and I. No, I'm sorry, not to her. I owed money every month for mortgage, and since she was paying the entirety of it, basically, I was accruing debt towards her. So that's terrible, because that's really unfair. Like, it's unfair. It seems unfair that she gets to, on her whim, change everything. Change her relationship dynamic. Break up with me. Move in to somebody else. Like, she was never alone. She just stepped from one relationship into another. So, break my heart. Break up. Move out. Shatter my emotional sense of well-being and sense of future and sense of family and sense of self and ego and all the things that come with a catastrophic, blindsiding breakup. So there's that. I'm not sure which is which. There's Watts and Epstein. So I'll have to figure it out. The other thing I learned yesterday is that from the day she moved out, it's kind of assumed that I should have moved out also, and we should have gotten a renter in. What the rental value of our condo is, I owe half of that. No, I owe all of that to the community, so I would have to pay half of that. So if we could have rented our condo for $3,000 a month, I owe rent to her and I. So not only do I owe half the mortgage, I owe rent for continuing to live there, regardless of the arrangement we had, regardless of my financial situation or my ability to pay that, because she up and moved out, the counter started and I owe money. So as of yesterday, she figured I owed her more than $20,000. The person I'm married to, my best friend, like the love of my life, my soulmate, all those wonderful terms, all of it, that person yesterday, in the face of her breaking up with me, her cheating, her doing all of this to me, essentially had a bill in her head where I owe her more than $20,000. is that fair? You know, so I look at it and I think like, well, you know, I'm a man and she's a woman and blah, 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 gender dynamics. But it is my understanding right now that the opposite is true. So if I was the high earner in the family, which I'm not, and I ran off with my secretary and I moved out on my wife, you know, I just up and moved in with my secretary, I could immediately start charging my wife for rent and half the mortgage. When you look at it, you know, with a more normative gender, a more stereotypical gender role where man is high earner, it sounds even shittier, doesn't it? Like how could you do that? Like, you make more, you move out, you charge her money for that. But that's exactly what's happening here. She's the high earner. She fell in love with somebody else very, very, very quickly, moved out, and immediately is aware of how much money I owe her. Something seems wrong there, doesn't it? Regardless, that is my understanding at this moment. So in the deal that she made, I think they figured by the time all would be said and done, I'd owe her $25,000. This deal they offered, or she offered with the help of the mediator, said, we're going to take all that and wipe it clean. You don't owe that. And then I'll give you this really minor buyout. Oh, and I'll give you the car that has 126,000 miles on it. Well, she gets the white convertible that has 30,000 miles. So at some point, this car, I mean, it's a Toyota, like it hopefully, knock on wood, will last for a while. But it feels like, oh, she's doing me the kindness of giving me the car. She doesn't want to have two cars. She wants the Mercedes. Truth be told, I never felt comfortable in that car. I felt outclassed. I felt kind of like a jackass when I drove it. I mean, it was fun, like to drive a convertible in Southern California. If you can, do it. My favorite thing, driving across the bridge at night and driving up, well, in San Diego, it's 163. It's the highway, but there's Balboa Park on either side. So when you drive through at night, the air gets cooler and more damp, and it smells like nature. Oh, it's awesome. It's really great. So if you're going to San Diego for a visit, get a convertible. Drive across the Coronado Bridge and then into 163 at night, and it'll be lovely. So after that whole meeting, she wanted to talk to me for a minute, and I obliged. Some people I talked to were like, Ken, you're an idiot. Why don't talk to her anymore? You never do well after you talk to her. Yeah, I know. Maybe it was weakness, or maybe it was impulse, or maybe it was, 3 hours of mediation is intense. It does definitely get the hairs on your neck standing up, and you're just kind of adrenalized. And maybe I thought I could handle it. I don't, I have to look at the video from that, but I fluctuate. The meeting with her was both good, and then I could see, one, how unpleasant and mean she can be in an adversarial situation, and she can. How quickly she can flip-flop. She went from being angry to frustrated to sentimental to talking about how she wished we could support each other through this process, which blew my mind. Like, support each other in a divorce? No. And when I clarified that, she said, well, at least be kind to each other. And I said, I have been kind through this whole thing. And she told me that she's not able to deal with the emotional stuff right now because she's so terrified that I'm going to try and screw her over financially. And I think that's insulting because she knows who I am. She's known me for years. I'm consistently me. I'm trustworthy. I'm dedicated to the legacy of our marriage, even if not to the who she is now. Like, I'm proud of the work I did in our marriage and what I did in that relationship. But she's terrified that I'm going to be terrible. And that hurts a lot because it's one of two things. It's either her just trying to hurt me and knowing which buttons to push and doing it very well, or the trust she could have built in me, the faith she could have had in me. Like, the trust I had in her isn't reciprocated. Since she knew I shouldn't trust her, she didn't trust me. And maybe I'm just dummy doing it oppositely. Since I know she can trust me so completely, I trusted her completely. I just didn't worry. You know, when I think now about when she would go to like lessons or, you know, meet with her trainer, the guy that she is now in love with and wants to start a family with, I would ask sometimes, like, hey, can I come up and watch your lesson? And there was always a reason why it wasn't a good idea that day. I didn't worry. I was just like, all right, well, you know, maybe next time. Their schedules didn't work out or this or that, or they were just going to do something that wouldn't mean a lot to me, you know, horse-wise, I assumed. So it wasn't a big deal. But now when you look back on it, like the totality of all those times that it didn't work out for me to go to a lesson, when you look at it through that lens, all of a sudden it's like, what was going on there? Was it more than just lessons? You know, and I think about it too much, but I think, you know, when she rode, she had like a headset in her ear. You know, the way dressage people do it is, you know, they wear a wireless headset, so the trainer talks into a microphone and tells them what to do, and then the rider hears them and does it. And I think about the intimacy of that, you know, so as she was riding, she had him like in her head or in her ear. And then I wonder, like, was it professional or was it ever flirty? Like, would he say things to make her laugh as she rode? And when I think too much about that, it sours my stomach. It makes me want to throw up. Just wondering how long it had been going on for, how blind was I to it? And how could she keep the relationship up with me? And granted, it wasn't perfect through a lot of the autumn, but coming off her sort of mental breakdown last summer and her leg break and just the struggle we had last summer, I worked real hard to make her okay, and then just gave her a little bit of latitude, thinking she just needs to come back to her, you know, to get back into riding, to get back into work, to get her feet grounded again. So if she spent a lot of time on the couch playing Gardenscapes or watching something on Netflix, I wasn't worried about infidelity or wandering thoughts or pursuits of him. I just thought, she's having a tough time. And if my words can't help, maybe my presence can help. Maybe just my being there will help. We're adults. But what I think now is my giving her space and latitude gave her the opportunity to pursue somebody else. And it's hard not to feel a little embarrassed by that, because that was never my intention. To try and be a good person and to just get beat up and smacked down for it, that's a toughie. And I have always, in that relationship, I mean, I have always tried to be a good person. And it's going to take a lot of work to recover from feeling beat up and shot down by this. Not feeling less than, not feeling like a sucker or a stooge, feeling like I can get in a relationship with somebody else and be true to me, like be myself, be true, not be suspicious, you know, be the person I want to be and be good for somebody else. I'm getting to the barn. Thank you for listening. This was a really good talk for me. I hope it was good for you. I'll see you later. Hey, that was good. I had a good lesson. It wasn't the best lesson. Like, I wasn't tip-top for some reason. I'm not really sure why. I tried real hard. It actually felt like more work today than other days. Like, there were times at which my heart was thumping, like it was a cardio thing. Vinny was in a good mood. What's funny is the entire time I'm on the horse, I don't think about her. Not at all. Not like, I just do my own thing and I'm focused. And it is, if nothing else, it's an hour of meditation. It's an hour of mental escapism from my marriage failing. I think if I went for a massage, which would cost more than my lesson, you would have time to lie there and your mind would wander to wherever your mind wanders. And I could see lying on a massage table being like, oh, I got massages with her and that was good. Remember that one? Remember that one? And I'd end up sad and distracted in the massage. Watching movies is fine, but I spent some of the time thinking like, oh, she'd think this was funny. She'd like this movie. I wonder if she's seen this movie with her new boyfriend. So that's not always great. Going to the gym, I end up thinking about her. Going running, I end up thinking about her or talking about her as I did this morning. There's something about that, about going to the barn and riding that just lets me forget about her. Which is so strange because I got into it for her. I'm wondering, like, what is the lesson here? You know, what could help somebody else in my position? I guess the lesson is just keep looking, keep searching for a thing, at least one thing that can give you a little bit of peace, that can let you free your mind or let you quiet your mind, let your life be a little bit softer. So this is my escape. And it was strange yesterday when she criticized me for that escape. Oh, you have money to ride, but you can't pay for the mortgage. That's right. Riding helps me be somewhat okay. To pay the mortgage and then just sit in that place by myself could spin me into a very, very bad place. I've been scolded by people for talking to her. They're right. But I am kind of an opportunist and maybe morbidly curious to see what a conversation with her would be like. So I did it, and I'm paying the price for it today. I'm kind of sad. I'm more informed, but it sort of just reawakens some of the things that I'm sad about. Basically, I'm sad that the person I spoke to yesterday isn't the person I thought she was for so long. I feel bad that she got so much good from me and she's tossed it aside. That she had 100% from me, like my full investment. I would have done anything, which is a lot. Which is, on an emotional level, I'm capable of a lot, like a lot. And I'm capable of change and taking risks and being strong. And I just wasn't enough to be her future any longer. No matter how good you are, how hard you fight, no matter how carefully you choose your words or like relay your sentiments or get your point across, you're gonna lose. So then it comes down to, you can either give up, which you should. In the face of knowing you're gonna lose no matter what, you should give up. You should. Like, if it is given you're going to lose, you should not play the game. But I play the game anyway. And that's stupid. That's me being self-destructive, right? I know I'm gonna lose, but I still try. That's being a fool, and that's why people have scolded me. I do better when I don't talk to her, so why the hell did I go back and talk to her? When no conversation I've had with her this entire time has resulted in me feeling any way better. Logically, they make a really good point, and I get it. And what I feel like in a good relationship is one of my super assets, my fierce loyalty,